don't always get to choose in this life, win and lose in this life. But I'ma prove in this life, we can move in this life.
Why Truong?
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to the podcast. So we're actually doing, of course, welcome Yvan Bourgeois, my co-host for the special edition of the podcast On Jazz Business. So in English it would be Let's Talk Business in Manitoba. So we're doing actual episodes with francophones in Manitoba. But why we met you in your office last week, so I was like, hey, let's do an episode. Is it your first podcast? Or
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
How are you feeling about this?
I'm feeling good. You know,
Yeah? No stress?
I didn't
No?
really prepare much. I
No
just show up
preparation.
and do my thing. And I love talking about
course.
business, especially my own business. So
Yeah.
it's second nature.
Yeah, perfect. Welcome. So, Ivan, how do you feel today?
I feel great. Anytime
Yeah.
we get to talk to Y
Yeah,
or
Y.
anybody here, it's a great time and interested to learn about Y.
You guys know each other from some time, or?
Yeah, St. Boniface is a very tight-knit
For sure.
community, very francophone. My wife is francophone, so I kind of slid into the show, I think, through that avenue. But it's a very small community, so you pretty much get to know everyone.
Yeah, Ivan said you helped him, I think, for his project. He was making hummus, and you help him consulting, or...
You might not remember this, but this is years ago.
It's been a while.
2017, 2018. I sent you a cold email when I was working on my first business project. And I said, I want a little help with branding, or I was maybe going to hire you guys, but I had a really small budget at the time. But I remember you took a 30-minute meeting with me and you helped me guide me a little bit.
Okay,
And,
I didn't remember. I didn't remember that, but I didn't remember it was hummus, actually. Okay, interesting.
There you go. So yeah, that was a
That's
project.
great.
We worked through a school project and we ran it for a summer, 2 months, and learned everything about business, made mistakes. And here we are now 7 years later. So
Amazing. Yeah, no,
Incredible.
I always make time for, entrepreneurs. I love entrepreneurs,
I love
whether
it.
you're 18-year-old or 80 years old.
What's the vibe of entrepreneurship in Winnipeg?
We are, I think, like music too. I think there's a lot of talent here. A lot of entrepreneurs. I think it's the cold winters. You got nothing to do but sit inside, and think about stuff. What could I be doing? And
Watch
maybe it's like, what can I do or come up with that can get me out of this cold? So I think a lot of innovation comes from the city. And so over the years, I met with a lot of these entrepreneurs, and some have gone on to do amazing things.
So before we jump in Bounce, of course, your company, let's start about your background, your experience till now. So can you explain maybe your academic or...
My history is
History,
it's a good journey. Like we emigrated from Vietnam to Canada in 1979. Okay. We got sponsored by the Grey Nuns of St. Boniface. So I literally grew up, my school was Marian School, which we can even see from the studio right here. I grew up in this neighborhood all my life. My business is in this neighborhood. So I haven't really gone far from home, even though I travel a lot. So I grew up, I love to draw, I love to doodle, collected comic books as a kid.
Nice.
But there's always that entrepreneurial side of me. Like a lot of artists, they use art to communicate their thoughts and their feelings or their whatever, or as rebellion. But for me, art was a means to make money. I would draw, make drawings when I was in elementary school and charge for them.
No way.
I would actually sell my drawings, for 25 cents a piece until I discovered the photocopier. The photocopier in the office at the school was 5 cents a copy. So I would make one drawing and make like 10 copies of it for 5 cents each and sell it for 25 cents. So I learned quickly that, hey, instead of slaving away for an original drawing each time, make photocopies and you multiply your profits by 10 times. So as an early age, I kind of learned the business side of art and kind of turned that into a degree in architecture at the University of Manitoba. Unfortunately, when I graduated in 93, there wasn't a lot going on in Winnipeg in terms of architecture. So I took a couple courses at Red River in graphic design. They convinced me, hey, you might want to consider a career in graphic design, and here we are.
So how did you build your team?
Yeah, so after school, I went to work for another company for 4 years. And within 4 years, I was managing massive clients like MTS Mobility and Magellan Aerospace and bringing in like $500,000 in revenue. By making $20,000 in salary. So I quickly learned too that, hey, I have a skill set that, that's not being paid for.
Sure.
So I started my own company with another business partner in 2000. There was just the two of us for a little while. And then it's been 25 years. So we've grown as big as 14 staff to as little as, 5 staff right now. But it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah. Can you explain us and the audience what are your services or your
Yeah.
specialization?
Exactly. So in 2000, when we first started, the internet and computers were just really new. So we did traditional print and branding. So coming up with logo designs for a company, stationery, which sounds like letterhead and all those kind of things, printed brochures, lots of print work.
Okay.
And over the years, we had to evolve into websites when websites became more popular. So we started doing web to a point where it was 50% print and 50% web at one point. And then when COVID hit, we adapted to video work. And again, knew nothing about video, had to learn. And within the last 4 years, video counts for 20% of our revenue.
20%, that's a lot.
Yeah, so it's grown a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, nice. So can we talk about the culture inside the enterprise? So how do you build leadership within your employees?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we've always strived to be a small, innovative company. I never wanted to work for a big agency. I never wanted to be a big agency.
Nice.
When you meet with consultants, they're always like, how can we grow your company? How can we grow? Bring in more revenue. And for me, more revenue means more work for me as a business owner. And more work doesn't always equal more money in my pocket. Might mean more revenue for the company, but now I have to share it with 15, 20, 30 staff. So for us, it's always been, how can we stay small, be a really cool company to work for, and try to retain employees as long as we can. Unfortunately, as everyone knows, these days, if you retain a employee for 5 to 7 years, you're doing pretty good. And gone are the days where someone's at a company for 30, 40 years, right? So that's the new culture is, how can we be fun and exciting, but knowing that there's a lifespan for each employee.
You touch a great subject, the pandemic. So was it hard to retain good talents in the pandemic era?
To be honest, we lost a few staff right before the pandemic, and during the pandemic, we had a tough time hiring actually, because the people that were coming out of school that were graduating had studied online only. They had no exposure to human contact, and we found, to be honest, they were very weak. We hired
How so?
in terms of skill set and social abilities too.
Oh yeah.
So these are 21-year-olds that are studied in their bedrooms for those 2 or 3 years, come out with no real life world experience, no experience dealing with
clients, I guess.
or not even and each other, staff. So this never happened in our 24 years or whatever. We hired and let go 3 people in a month, which was insane. That's never happened.
That gotta be hard.
And 2 of them within a week. Normally we give people a 3-month probation, and up till then everyone made it past their probation. But during COVID, like 1 week, that is really crazy. Yeah.
Crazy. Wow.
And you mentioned you want to keep your team small. What's the advantage of having a small team?
Yeah, for me as a business owner, I want to still design and oversee my staff and know what's going on. If you have a bigger staff, you just basically become an HR person. You're now just a boss of people, right? And if you don't want to be that, then you have to hire an HR person. Then it just snowballs into into a big agency, right? So no, being small, all my staff get to know our clients. Our clients can call and talk to any one of us, and we all know what's going on in terms of projects. So it's not like we got to talk to the client liaison, or you got to get past the secretary or executive admin before you even to talk to the owner. Like when you call us, the owner picks up the phone, right?
That's what we did. We walked right into your business on Provencher, knocked on the door, and
hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to do a podcast. Yeah, let's do it. Let's book it.
Yeah,
simple.
In terms of business, my answer is always yes. Like my client 4 years ago asked, "Do you do video work?" At that time, we did one project, but I said yes, we do video work, and then we figure it out.
So when you say video work is corporate video, what kind of videos do you make?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's mainly corporate videos. So one of our biggest clients is Abbott Laboratories. They're a U.S. company, and we can talk about U.S. companies as well. So we do filming around the world. So last month I traveled to France, Spain, and Japan, all within 3 weeks to film.
What are your favorite projects to work on?
To be honest, I do love the video work. I think if I have a next career, it'll be like a director in movies or something.
No way.
Because I like to coordinate things. I like to be creative, and I like, I guess, to order people around in a sense of getting them to do a bunch of skill sets to do what I envision and to deliver the product.
So, as I can understand, you're always open to new opportunities to grow the business, but not forgetting about yourself, your stability, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, yeah, I still have mouths to feed at the office, so so it's always conscious of making sure it is business. But the nature of our business is so great. We develop so many relationships that last 20, 30 years. So so we have these regulars that we can count on for business year after year.
Have you ever had this entrepreneurial mindset, like this will to do more, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, so we immigrated from Vietnam, and I think most immigrants, especially
Have
the
this-
first generation, have this side hustle drive, right? I mean, we all have 4 or 5 things on the go at the same time, whether it's just selling things on marketplace or doing side gigs, or even driving Uber on weekends. I think we're all hustling.
Yeah.
And you come to this country dirt poor with not a penny in our pockets, so you grow up with mentality. And now we're very comfortable financially, but that never leaves your soul. Like you're always still trying to get ahead and stay afloat, right?
Yeah, that's the fuel of your life, I guess.
Yeah, and it's exciting, and I just like expanding experiences. Side note, I'm filming my own food show at the moment as
No
well.
way.
Yeah,
Whoa.
so it's called Why Eat That. Yeah,
I like
so
it.
because I'm traveling the world for business, we decided to while we're in these amazing countries, let's film me eating crazy food in all these places. So we started that in Vietnam in January, and we filmed 5 episodes already, and so we'll see where that goes too.
So you have projects all around the world. Do you have different locations, or is it the main office in Winnipeg?
We only have the one central location in Winnipeg. It serves us great. Central in North America, we go anywhere, and most of our clients are based in Winnipeg anyway. So only a handful are outside.
Do you wish to expand in that way or not really?
Only in the sense that I love to travel, so I would love to have clients elsewhere, so I have an excuse to go see them. I have a client in Las Vegas, which was always my dream, so I'm going to see them in 2 weeks. So only for that reason, but not for bragging rights or anything. A lot of companies will set up satellite offices in New York, Paris, and all that, just to say that they have offices there. But it's all for show, right?
Just all for show.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day, you want revenue and profit too. So.
Yeah, and especially with the technology these days, who
for
cares where
sure.
you're located, right? I mean, we could be in a
You
basement
don't need
somewhere.
large office building. It's not,
Exactly.
I have a question before I let maybe Ivan ask one question. But for example, okay, so we have a design agency. Let's say there's design agency in Quebec that wants to maybe develop a market in Winnipeg. What's the opportunities, with your experience?
Yeah, I mean, for an outside company like that, and we do have clients in Ontario that have come to Winnipeg or want to expand to Western Canada. So our experience is our network of all the businesses that we've done work for over the years, all the contacts, and an understanding of the mindset of people from Manitoba too. There's a reason why a lot of companies do their test marketing in Manitoba. Is we think a certain way. We're very frugal. So you have to understand that.
Can you
Yeah, and especially having an American back to a U.S. company as a client, they spend money very freely. They rarely. Question a quote, or they just, they say whatever I present to them, they're like, okay, if that's what it costs, it costs. Manitoba, often you get, some like, oh, can you do better? or they'll shop around.
Okay.
They're always looking for a bargain. I think Winnipeg is a bargain city.
Interesting.
So they say for businesses, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. And that's pretty much the truth. Yeah.
Wow.
100%. A bargain city. Consumer habits are very bare minimum. People don't like to overconsume here, which is interesting.
Yeah. But when they do spend, they do want to make sure they get a good deal, right? Exactly. They always want a good deal.
Get a bang for their buck.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious, when did you start taking clients from outside the province? Like eventually you're based locally, but when did that start?
Yeah, you just travel and you meet people, and so some clients are just from just travel and talking, and there's business owners all over the world, and others they have satellite offices. One of our clients, Canadian manufacturers and exporters, they have offices in Toronto and such. So we start, you do work for the local branch, and word gets out, and then next thing you know, you're doing it for national as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have one project, your favorite project ever?
Oh, that's a tough one, but we do.
Yes, yeah.
I have one of my favorites. Is a buddy from high school started this company called Track It Back.
Okay.
This was about 20 years ago, and it was basically just a sticker you put on your mobile devices. That when you lose it, there's a 1-800 number on the sticker, and you call it, and they return your device when you lose it. So he came up with this concept, and we did the branding and everything, and so much that I actually traveled with him to Vancouver to meet with the buyers for Best Buy, Future Shop, London Drugs, and Walmart. All in one day, we had these meetings lined up with the buyers. And if you ever presented to buyers, it's a tough room, right? So that was really neat. We went in there, we went to meet with Future Shop, which used to be a consumer's electronics store that doesn't exist. Met with them first thing, and they're like, they didn't really get it, and they didn't want, no interest. Went to Best Buy, no interest. Went to another company, no interest. End of the day, last meeting, we're all dejected, like, wow, maybe there's nothing here. We met with London Drugs, and they loved it. They're like, oh my God, we love the concept. We'll take it. And we're like, woohoo,
Incredible.
high five. And then my friend, who's a great salesman, calls Future Shop and Best Buy and said, hey, London Drugs is taking it. You're going to be the ones that don't take it. And then, of course, next thing you know, they're all taking it. So that was so exciting to be a part of, a business and a product and a concept that,
Nice.
a year later, you walk into London Drugs or Future Shop and your products and your design is sitting on the shelf.
That's a great win. You right?
Yeah, a great win. And the client went on to be on Dragon's Den, and he got the deal on Dragon's Den and all that. So it's just kind of like a really neat project to be part of.
Talking about projects, you work for Envol 91, right? For their website or redesign. So the radio.
Oh yes,
radio
of course.
here,
Yes, exactly.
Envol 91.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
How was that?
It was super fun. Any project. It started off as a website redesign, but then next thing you know, we're doing a photo shoot of the staff, and then action shots. So if you go to the website, all the staff photos are done by us. So that's always fun when there's more to a project than just, I just need a brochure, or I just need, one thing. And it always evolves in that. They start off with a brochure, but then it just turns into social media management, video, website. It just kind of grows from there.
And I'm curious, so you guys deal with a lot of francophone businesses. You guys are on Provencher here. How do you guys navigate with your team being mostly Anglophones?
We do a lot of government work too. So a lot of government work is bilingual. So we're always managing, French language for everything we do. And most of us kind of have a light understanding of French, even though if we don't understand the words, we know that certain things like certain accents will look wrong if it's used, or certain spacing, after things, after a dollar sign, there's 2 spaces and all that kind of small little details. So you pick up those things over the years. We've been lucky and fortunate to get by and be able to, service the Francophone community here.
Yeah. How do you maybe establish yourself in the community? So you did this project for Envol, but what's your impact? Do you want to give to the community in some ways? Or
I mean, the Franco community, the one great thing about them is they're very supportive of each other. So,
cool.
They're always using each other's services, or are very knowledgeable with what's going on. So, once we got one client, we literally within 2 kilometers radius have about 10 Francophone clients, right? Like every French organization from Entrepreneurial to SEDEM to, all those great organizations are our clients. And one of them, which is a great story, it's a Rousseau Compassion Network. So they are organizations started by the Grey Nuns that own and run over 16 hospitals and facilities in Manitoba. So they were the nuns that sponsored our family when we came to Canada. It's a great story. It's just come full circle, right? Wow. For them to bring us to Canada and support us. And then years later for me to serve them as a client, to give back to them. It's just an amazing full circle.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing community. I mean, like I said in the last podcast with Philippe Richer, I said in Quebec, we kind of live in a separate bubble with our French, culture. And we come here, and I come here, and I'm like, there's a vivid French culture here too.
Yes.
I know, to be learned about. So, I mean, that's great. Either for business opportunities or cultural opportunities, that's really nice. And you have the opportunity to work with them, to expand their business in some ways.
Yes, exactly. And then my wife, who's Francophone, works for Canada Life. So she often's on the phone with people from Quebec. And they're very surprised at how good her French is. And that, they're like, wow, there's Francophone people outside of Quebec that actually can speak the language and and do it well. I think Quebecers are a little insular in that sense, that they don't realize that it is places like St. Boniface that are truly Francophone.
let's talk about your clients. I'm curious. So, what would be a perfect client for you?
A perfect client would be much like my track it back example from before. Is someone has an idea for a company, so we're getting right on the ground floor. Where they don't even have the name of the company yet. So that's the kind of client I love. Naming the company, coming up with the domain name and the design for their logo. So establish that look right from the beginning. That's kind of my passion, especially naming companies. I love companies like Track It Back and Take Time Home Cleaning and things that I've named over the years because, like that's a really big thing to name a company and for it to last for 20, 30 years, right? So.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, at your level, I guess you refuse some contracts or clients that wouldn't be fitting the idea of your company. So, what would be the criteria?
Right? Yeah, I'm like I said, I always say yes, so I'm pretty bad. I do keep clients that I should say no to. And there's one client that I literally have tried to fire many times just because they were just so high maintenance. But I kept taking them back. I'm just a sucker for it. And we have, I would tell you a handful of clients that other people that have worked with them would say, "Oh my God, how have you dealt with them for the last 10 years?" But, it comes with, thick skin and just understanding what they're going through, too. Because, as business owners themselves, like they got a million things that they're dealing with. So sometimes when, you're dealing with them, you're just one of 100 things they got to deal with that day. So maybe they're stressed or maybe, whatever. So you have to keep that in perspective. So I do, as a business owner myself, I know, okay, yeah, sure, take it out on me. Yeah. I'll be your punching bag. That's what you're paying me for partly too. So that comes with the territory.
So, I mean, in the marketing space at large, we always have this talk about, in 2025, it's all about social media. Websites are outdated. It's useless. I don't have to drop 10, 15, $20,000 for a new website. What's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, social media is very, very important. We do manage social media accounts for some of our clients. I use social media every single day. It's very important for small businesses. But if you're a medium and especially a large company, to be taken seriously, you do have to have a website. Yeah. Even if you don't use it for anything, it just adds credibility. Like, first thing I do is go on Google, and if your domain leads me to their Facebook business page or their Instagram account, I'm like, okay, this is a Mickey Mouse little operation, right? And they could, but they may be very talented and great at what they do, and some of them are so busy they'll say, I don't need a website, I'm so busy I can't keep up anyways, why do I need to spend money on a website? So I do agree with that, but if you wanted to be taken seriously, then a website just kind of gives you that that comfort level with your customers. Otherwise, imagine a company that doesn't have a email address or doesn't have a phone line, and you're like, well, who am I dealing with here, right? So if they don't have a website, you're like, I don't know about these guys.
I feel like there's so much noise in the website and social media. Everyone have an Instagram page or a website, of course, but how do you pop out, or how do you be creative with your websites that you are making?
Yeah, and to be honest, a website, back to that, is not about creativity. It's about function. It's like a phone number. No one asks, do you have a creative phone number? No, it's just a phone number. So a website is functional, right? You're not trying to wow people by having things pop and move around. Like a lot of times we do have clients say, oh, could you make the pictures fly in and the text, like sparkle and all that? I'm like, no, like you're just trying to communicate your services and your company in the quickest way possible, because people have no time. They spend 5 seconds on your website. So there's no time for sparkles and all that.
And if it's slow, I mean, the client, it's like 5 seconds, 2 seconds, I think. It's like,
exactly. Yeah, that's called, ironically, it's called the bounce rate. So the name of my company. So the bounce rate is how quickly people leave your website within 5 seconds. So if you have a bounce rate of 50% or more, your messaging on the first page is not doing well. So you need a bounce rate of under 50%. So you got to capture attention immediately. And most of the time, they're just looking for a phone number or an address, right? So make that easy for them. Don't try to dazzle them with special effects.
Coming back from what we said earlier, you said, so you're making video content. Do you make short form content? Do you have ever done this kind of contracts?
No, but we have done websites for shows. So one of our clients produces documentaries and reality TV shows. Great. So once he creates a show, we'll have a dedicated website for that show. So listing the episodes and the director and all that kind of stuff. So those are always fun because like I said, I love film.
So, I mean, I'm a business owner too. I have a marketing agency in Montreal. So the podcast is like, one way to, gain visibility.
Right.
I'm I was searching online in here and in Winnipeg, and I was like, okay, where's the creation studio or podcast studio where I can maybe find a place to shoot my show, right, or for clients. And there, I didn't find anything.
Interesting.
Are you in that space? Do you know some place or?
No, to be honest, I only know of like studios for filming.
Yeah,
but
there you
not
go.
for podcasts.
Yeah, for artists or
exactly.
Song people. Yeah.
I think it's because most of the people that do podcasts primarily do it from home, I suspect. They build a little home studio.
Yeah, sure.
So the demand is not there, but I'm sure the demand is growing, right?
Could be, yeah.
It could be another business
maybe an
idea
opportunity
for someone that's listening right now.
Yeah, for sure. No, I was brainstorming with Ivan, and it's like, there might be like a real opportunity to do that there.
Yeah, exactly.
As you mentioned, people can record at home. Like the barrier to entry is so low. You can record on your iPhone, put it through AI. It'll take off all the background noise and make it sound perfect for you. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So it's tough. I think Winnipeg is such a small market in a lot of things. So if you had a podcast business, it would be probably have to be part of a bigger business. So maybe you do have a film studio and you have a podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe you even have a restaurant. You have a recording studio at the back or something. But it's hard to live on one niche
that
business.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
What would you say is the number one differentiator at Bounce?
You know what? I didn't touch on this, but I want to highlight it. I was a server in a restaurant for 10 years. And I got to say, anyone that's been a server, it was the most stressful job I've ever had. Had nightmares about serving for 10 years afterwards.
No way.
Yeah, and that's very common. A lot of people call it server nightmares. Okay. So imagine that is more stressful than owning a business, which is crazy, right? So I'm sorry, what was your question?
What differentiates you guys?
Yes. So the differentiation is I was a server for 10 years. And so very focused on service, right? And quality service. And everyone talks about, first thing they say is our differentiator is service. But in my case, it really is because I worked in a high-end, the top restaurant in Winnipeg, basically at the Velvet Glove. So we're talking about like extreme attention to detail, extreme service. So going through that experience, it really trained me well to serve my clients 24/7, really understand their business, serve their needs, but also do it in a friendly way. Like a lot of my clients become my Facebook friends and then maybe actually real friends too. So we get really close. So I think that's the differentiator is, again, by being small, we're able to do that. If they're dealing through a salesperson of mine, then we never get to that point, right?
Yeah. I guess a good marketing strategy can help differentiate yourself. So, I mean, what's your strategy about that? How do you promote Bounce?
Yeah, we just do it through word of mouth. Yeah, over the years we've never had a salesperson. We tried one for a couple of months, but it just wasn't for us. But just word of mouth, and as the years go by, you get more and more advocates. Our clients become our advocates and our salespeople. Right? So they spread the word, and I love it when a client says, "Sorry, but I'm leaving this company to go to another company." I'm like, "Perfect," because then we usually get the business from wherever they're going as well. So I love it when they announce that they're leaving somewhere because I'm like, "Great, see you at the next place," right? So that's our business strategy: is develop relationships. And that's all.
Have you ever dabbled in Google Ads, Facebook Ads?
Not for ourselves, but we set that up for our clients for sure. No, for ourselves, the only promotions we do is we'll sponsor golf tournaments or we'll sponsor some events and just be there just to be a part of the fun. But it's very, very not aggressive.
So leading on this question, how do you keep innovation, or how do you innovate in your industry in Winnipeg, right?
Yeah, I think you just have to be willing to take chances and, with new technologies. Like every time something new comes along over the years, like social media, video, we just say, we got to get into it. So either you get in or you get left behind, right? So a lot of older agencies are stuck in print. And some are maybe too young and they only specialize in social media. But you got to have kind of a balance between tradition and new things that are coming along too.
What kind of new industry interests yourself? So of course we talk about AI, but I mean, do you want to maybe meet a client that's a startup in technology? Is it like something you'd be interested to work with, or?
Yeah, I love technology, but I think I like clients that actually sell tangible things, like a physical product,
not a service, right?
Yeah, whether they're selling chocolates. We had a chocolate shop for a client one time.
Did you work with Constance?
Yes, exactly. Worked with her for many years.
Okay.
So I think anything with that's a physical product I like, just because you can photograph it, you can have a photo shoot, you can all these kind kind of fun things with it's promoting services like a lawyer, law firm, which we also have clients. It's harder because it's you're just selling their people. So that's more challenging. So that's also fun. But and how do you differentiate yourself from all that, right? So so every job has its challenges, but ideally for me, a perfect client would be someone that has an idea for a product and then continues it until it's the finished product.
Okay. So let's talk about the your ambitions for Bounce. What are your objectives for 2025?
Just to have fun, to be honest. I'm at a stage, been doing it just for 25 years.
Yeah.
And for me, the objective is just be able to make a good living for myself and my staff. All of us have fun doing it. And for me, obviously, personally, if I can travel as well during that time and meet great people and see places, that's a win. It's we're not trying to reinvent ourselves. Like what we do, serves a need in the community. We do a good job, and people know it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how do you see yourself in a few years? How your role will evolve?
Yeah, I don't think it'll evolve too much, to be honest. Everyone at my age, which is I'll just say early 50s, is looking at retirement already, right? Like counting the years. I know so many friends are doing that, and some are already retired, which is crazy. But I don't have an end date. Like I'll be doing this till I'm 80 if I'm able.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay,
so
nice.
because it's fun. As long as you're having fun and you're making money, and why stop, right? I mean, if I stop, what am I going to do? I'm going to play golf, which I suck at, and and it doesn't pay anything. So why would I do that? Torture myself. So no, I just like I said. So as long as you're having fun and making, being able to make a living that you can live on, then why stop, right?
Yeah. You said you love to travel, so. How did travel inspire you in business in any way, or meeting new people?
In a way, I had clients over the years who were actually travel companies themselves. So I was looking at what they were doing, like, oh my God, they get paid to travel. Like that for me was like an incredible goal to achieve. And so I'm really glad that I got to a point with video work that I'm able to do that. But yeah, that for me is like the dream is you get to travel and get paid for it. Like, wow, that's the ultimate job. So I would love to have a company where I take people on tours of the world and take them to wherever the Olympics or special events and have clients that do that. They take people to the World Cup and they get paid to entertain them at the World Cup. Like what kind of job is that? That's amazing, right?
Same. Yeah, I mean, and I love the fact that you work with all over the world. So people companies in the US, companies in Europe. What's the difference in the market? Like. Maybe tendencies or
there is a slight difference, and again you really have to understand your clients. So like I said, the U.S. clients seem to have bigger budgets and they're more willing to take chances, I find.
What do they value in your relation with them?
What's that?
So what do they value in their relationship?
I think they value that I am able to kind of be innovative and also take risks and think big, right? Because
I like it.
The U.S., they think big about everything. So if you're penny pinching and trying to think the Manitoba way, then you're not thinking globally. So a lot of the U.S. clients, that's the advantage. They do think globally in everything they do. And I had worked with some people in Japan too. It was very interesting there. I learned that even though as a country they're very highly productive, per capita, if you nail down to per person, they're the least productive people in the world, apparently. They'll work 16 hours a day, but the what they produce out of 16 hours is not great, like in terms of productivity. So I've learned that. I saw that firsthand. Like, they had like 4 people doing the job of 1 person when I went to Japan, right? So it's interesting that our perception. So then you have to kind of understand that, okay, that's the way they roll, and how can I have to work around that? And then, of course, some European clients are very laid back. So don't expect the email reply, immediately.
Friday afternoon,
they're like, well, they're at a 2-hour lunch right now. So, maybe we'll hear back in a couple of days, right?
I read something like it's illegal to send an email like after Friday, like 5 p.m.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Exactly, in certain countries. Exactly. Or don't expect them to reply to it, right?
Yeah.
So,
That's interesting, the correlation. Input-output.
Right.
Yeah. Like it's almost like we're impatient.
Yeah,
I guess,
and that's the trouble with technology. Everything's happening so much faster that we expect everything faster too, right? Like and then and that's part of my service as I was mentioned earlier, if you send me an email, if I don't reply within 48 hours, like call 911 because I'm like dead
Okay,
or something.
I might do that. Yeah.
Because
Hey,
but,
that's a great question. Sorry, I'm
yeah,
cutting
no.
you off, but it's such a great subject. Okay, so how do you separate your your mental health, your stability, and with your phone, it's always buzzing. It's always like new message, new email. Uh, do you have boundaries about that, or it's like nah, I'm just
Yeah.
responding on the spot?
Yeah, unfortunately, for better for worse, I don't have those boundaries. My work is my life, and my life is my work. There's
see.
no 5 o'clock. My work ends and my life begins. Right? It's a continuation, which is good and bad. So it allows me lots of flexibility. Right? I can work Saturdays and just come in Monday at 11 a.m. if I want or whatever. But the work always gets done. They can always reach me. But it's very fluid. And then anyone that I think as a business owner, tries to separate their personal and business life. That's unrealistic. If you're going to be a business owner, you got to know that you are your business because, you spend the most time in your business. There's no way you're turning it off at 5 p.m. If that's what you think, then go get a government job or something like that because you're not going to make it.
So is it hard to bring those? So let's take an example. You had a bad day. It happens in business. You bring that home with your wife. Is it a conversation you're gonna have with her, or it's like you're separate?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, no, I share with her, some of the nightmare clients, perhaps, some funny story at work.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I don't get into the nitty gritty because then it takes over. And to be honest, apologies to my wife. I do have my phone, on all the time. So sometimes it's an issue when you're trying to, have a conversation with someone. So all of us need to be better with that. But otherwise, it is hard to separate the two sides.
Let's take a step back when we talk about your hiring and your employees. So when you're hiring new candidates, what are you looking for? Like, what's the soft skills, the hard skills you're looking for?
Yeah, and back to the serving. If I see on their resume that they were a server at a restaurant,
okay,
instantly attracted. Yes, way to the top. Exactly. You're exactly. You're used to stress. You're used to dealing with unreasonable people. And those are two parts of the job, right? Stress and dealing with people. So they're usually my number one choice.
I like it.
And back to the COVID thing, actually, with the staff. Once COVID started easing and people had a choice to work either remotely, hybrid, or in person, every one of my staff chose to come in to work every day. Every day they come to the office. They have the option to work from home, and they never do.
That's great.
Because so that's part of the culture we built. I think I'm very proud of that, wow, you have the choice to sleep in and just work from your bedroom if you want, to travel, take the bus. Some take 2 buses to get to work every day, minus 30, and they still come to the office. So that's amazing. Yeah. So kudos to them.
Are you looking for like some, bachelor? What's their level or requirements to work with Bounce?
Yeah, exactly. Usually the minimum is our local Red River College has a graphic design program. It's a 2-year with an optional 3rd year. 95% of our hires come from that program. A few come from the University of Manitoba Fine Arts program, but very little because university, and I went to university, it's a great for kind of global knowledge and experience, but they don't really teach you the nitty gritty technical skills. So the community college does a really good job with the technical skills. Okay,
so for example, you're in the interview process. You have two candidates. So one candidate doesn't have much experience. Doesn't have much experience. Have multiple certificates. Present their CV. The other candidate have much more experience, no certificate. What would you value? Who would you hire at this point?
100% whoever has the more experience. And even less so. Even without education or experience, is who do I like? To be honest, we have a small studio, so I have to see this person every day and work with them.
So they fit.
So if they're super skilled and super talented, could be the best designer in the world, but they drive you crazy, I'm not hiring that person. I don't need to put up with that. And so and you have to think about the other staff. Are they going to fit in, and how are they going to work with them? Because so that's the most important is personality. Then I would say experience, and then education.
Side question about that. So in our generation, the Generation Z, we're all about side gig, side job. Would you hire someone that has a side gig, and a small venture on their side, but still want to work with you, or is it too risky?
No, I would hire someone, that
Yeah?
didn't have that
Okay.
formal education or formal experience. Because, for example, my business partner's son, he's a fashion designer. He has does very well, but he never went to school for that.
Yeah.
It's all self-taught,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he's doing fantastic. So yeah, there's definitely a reason for that, especially in this day and age with YouTube and everything. People learn, in different ways, right? So you don't need to sit in a classroom for 8 hours a day to be good at anything.
Nice. All right.
And how do you integrate new staff members? Sounds like people have been there for years and years. When you get a new staff member, how do you make them feel part of the team?
Yeah, no, we just one of the reasons we had a lunch today. We do it every 2 weeks on payday, but we had a special lunch because it was their work anniversaries.
Nice.
So there was one that's been here a year, and the other ones have been here longer. Yeah, again, we just when we're interviewing, we just know, is this person going to fit in with who we have right now? And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, right? And you never fully know until they're actually immersed, because some people do really great in interviews, but when they're actually working, wow, it's like sometimes like, who are you? Like it's like Jekyll and Hyde, right? Yeah. So unfortunately, you really have to. That's why we have that 3-month probation, because you really have to put them to the test to really know a person, right? Just like, you want to learn about someone, just go on a trip with them. You'll learn really well what they're really like under stress, under lack of sleep, and under maybe alcohol too. You really learn, because travel, I think, it's a great test for staff and for relationships.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. How do you adapt for professional travel? Like, what's the preparation for shooting abroad?
Exactly. For this client, over the last 3 years, unfortunately, we've had to go through 3 different crews. Each year we had to fire and hire a different crew.
Okay.
Because travel and working are very, very hard. People think travel is glamorous, and it could be, but there's lots of demands. You fly, 16-hour flight, time lag, whatever, jet lag, and then you got to work the next day. So it's not like sitting by the pool and relaxing, right?
Yeah.
And not everyone can kind of do that, like just get off a plane, go to a hotel, and okay, let's get to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've gone through a number of teams that have not been able to manage that. So and then they thought they could, but until you actually do it, you don't know, right?
So, and you had to bring equipments to camera, mics and stuff.
Oh my God, that is a
That would be
nightmare.
a nightmare in the airports.
It is very that's one of the most stressful parts, is the equipment, right? Because as
for
you may or may
sure.
not know, you have to do these carnets, are called. Carnets are listing every single item in your equipment, every camera filter, every lens, every battery. It's ridiculous. It's literally about 10 pages long of every single
that's
item you're
weird.
bringing.
Yeah.
And some customs will actually go through every single item, take about 4 to 5 hours, and make sure everything is listed, because they're afraid that you're either importing or
or selling
exporting
this
or
stuff,
selling the
yeah.
equipment, right?
Yeah.
So they ensure that everything that goes in leaves with you, that you don't leave anything behind. And so that's the most stressful part. And of course, just the luggage in general. Is it going to make it? I have a connection. Is it going to make it to the next plane,
Yeah,
right?
it depends on the country. I have a funny story about that, because we did a podcast episode in Costa Rica
Oh, yes.
with villa owner, so a resort. And all fine, but little preparations. So we put like tripods and cameras and mics, about $5,000 worth in like a small luggage, a resort style luggage, and we put it in the suit, the plane, and we didn't even have they didn't even open the luggage, but we had a real risk of losing that equipment.
Yes.
Yeah, no insurance. That was a little bit sketchy in this country, but we had the luck, I guess. But I mean, the next time we do these kind of trips, you need preparations. You need to know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm curious, maybe do you have a story where the customs took all your things or something, where you have to figure out a crew last second?
Yeah, well, the one story was that,
Okay.
we had a tight connection, and the customs took 4 hours, so we missed our connection, right? So,
That's bad.
yeah, and then sometimes it takes 10 minutes. Some countries, they just go, yeah, you're fine, stamp, and you're on your way.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah.
So, so you never know. So, again, with experience, you really have to, book your connection so they have plenty of time in case something happens. But luckily for us, nothing like crazy has happened in terms of we lost the equipment or we got held up somewhere or never know, you get thrown in
Jail,
right?
yeah.
True stories, right? So, yeah.
And I'm curious about you. So you mentioned you love what you do every day. When you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. It's awesome. When you wake up in the morning, what drives you? What gets you out of bed?
I like that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, you know what? For me, my day is, I like it where there's a couple set things like a lunch appointment and something like a radio recording, and then the rest is open and fluid. Because, today I went to Staples. I ended up going there twice because I forgot something. But I like being able to do that and not be stressed. So for me, what drives me is the one or two things I have planned. So I'm hyper focused on that. And then everything that happens around it, I just kind of let it go, and whatever happens, it happens. So I like the flexibility in that. But I do, every day I do want or need something a target. Like my wife says, my wife likes to go for walks, but I like there to be a destination or a purpose to the walk. So I always say, can we walk to Safeway to buy milk or something, just so I have a purpose? Because I don't like walking just for the sake of walking. I know it's healthy and all that. So same with my day. I wake up and I need a purpose for that day. If the day's completely open, there's nothing, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a day for me.
So you do everything with a purpose.
Yes, exactly. It has to have a purpose. And then, if we go on that walk, let's say to get milk, but other things, fun things happen, amazing. But I do need a purpose, and I think with our services and what we do for a living, we do serve that purpose in the community, because there's lots of businesses that do need that marketing help.
Guys, I have two more questions for you, so I can ask the first, and Ivan, what's the last question, right?
Sure, I'll
figure
it out.
Yeah, figure it out. So one of the two questions I always ask my guests would be, what's your vision of success at your age?
At my age is really to enjoy what you're doing.
Okay.
And it sounds simple, but I actually have a friend, a close friend and a colleague who's been working for other people all their lives and wanting to start their own business, but really didn't have the courage at times to do it because, with family commitments and financial and all that. But he finally pulled the trigger, and he was 55 when he did it. But he finally realized, hey, it's not too late. At 55 even, I got to be happy and I got to finish with a bang. So I think that's the ultimate goal of people my age is hopefully you're doing what you like. Nice. And hopefully you're doing something you love, which is even better. And if you're not, it's not too late to rethink it. Like I said, there's people at my age that are, starting companies, and I'm starting a food show. So, there's never too late to start anything, right? So if you're not having fun, what you're doing, it's not too late to change it.
Love it. Great response.
And if you had one piece of advice for a young 20-year-old Y, what would be that one piece of advice?
Oh, that's a great question. Because we always say, I wish I had a time machine to go back. And obviously, I'd go back and tell young Y to buy certain stocks that or not sell certain stocks that he owned at one point.
Oh, no.
But I try to impart that to my kids now. They've been owning stocks and investments since they were little. So besides that, to be honest, I'm very proud of all the successes and the mistakes I've made from when I was, in my 20s. So there's no regrets. I would tell them, hey, just do you and figure it out, because, I think whatever I've done, I managed to figure a way to get to where I am today. So I'm very proud of that. And so I'll just tell young Y, and he did, have a great time when you're young, have a great time when you're old, and just keep working hard. I think working hard, again, back to the immigrants, I think immigrants have that mentality of working hard and hustling. And so as long as you work hard and do what you love, I think then your life is awesome.
Well, it was awesome. It was an awesome interview. Thank you for your time. Why did you like your experience with us today?
Amazing. Like I said, I love talking about business and entrepreneurship and travel and all that. So it's been fun.
All right. So what we're proposing every episode is to do a part 2 in 6 months. New projects, new things, what's up, expansion, or, new employees. So if you're interested, it would be my pleasure to, come with us for part 2.
Amazing. Yeah, you come here. I'll come see you in Quebec.
Great. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Y.
Hey, salut, ça fait déjà la deuxième fois qu'on se voit dans cette même vidéo-là. Donc, merci de ton attention, puis merci de ta discipline, parce que c'est un mince pourcentage des gens qui sont capables d'écouter du début de l'épisode jusqu'à la fin. Donc, merci beaucoup de ta discipline. Ça démontre énormément de motivation de ta part et bien sûr d'un aspect important de l'entrepreneuriat que oui, la motivation c'est important, mais la discipline c'est encore plus important. Donc, merci de ton attention. La meilleure manière que tu peux me repayer pour ce podcast-là, c'est tout simplement de repartager le podcast dans des Instagram Stories, d'en parler avec tes amis, d'envoyer le lien à tes amis. Hey, Mathis, va donc écouter cet épisode-là, c'est super intéressant. Ça vaut de l'or, puis ça va me permettre d'aller faire croître le podcast à un niveau exponentiel. Donc, merci beaucoup pour ton aide et ton intérêt pour le podcast. Et bien sûr, on se revoit la semaine prochaine dès jeudi midi pour un nouvel épisode. Donc, bonne journée à toi.
You don't always get to choose in this life, win and lose in this life. But I'ma prove in this life we can move.